The Girl Who Never Appeared in Mirrors. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today, I want to tell you a strange story. It is about a girl that nobody could explain. People said she was kind. People said she was beautiful. But everyone who met her noticed one terrifying thing. She never appeared in mirrors. Let's begin. On the edge of a quiet town stood an old apartment building. It wasn't famous. It wasn't haunted. It was simply old, silent, and forgotten by most people. Only a few families still lived there. Among them was a young woman named Emily. Emily was 23 years old. She had long black hair, pale skin, and bright blue eyes that always seemed calm. She smiled often, greeted her neighbors politely, and spent most evenings reading books on the rooftop while watching the sunset. Everyone liked her. She never argued. She never complained. She always helped elderly neighbors carry groceries upstairs. To everyone else, she looked perfectly normal. Except no one had ever seen her reflection. At first, nobody noticed. After all, who spends time staring into mirrors with other people? Life continued as usual. Weeks passed, months passed. Then one rainy afternoon, a little boy named Noah was playing hide and seek with his sister in the hallway. He ran into the elevator, laughing. Emily stepped inside just before the doors closed. The elevator walls were covered with mirrors. Noah looked up. He saw himself. He saw his sister. He saw the old man standing beside the door. But Emily wasn't there. The space beside him was empty. No reflection. Nothing. The boy rubbed his eyes. He looked directly at Emily. She smiled kindly. Then he looked back at the mirror. Still, nothing. When the elevator reached the ground floor, Noah ran home crying. His parents laughed. "You were just imagining things," his mother said. But Noah never entered an elevator with Emily again. Several weeks later, another strange thing happened. A young photographer named Daniel had recently moved into the building. He loved taking portraits of interesting people. One afternoon, he asked Emily, "Would you mind if I took your picture? The light is beautiful today." Emily hesitated. Then she smiled softly. Of course. Daniel spent nearly an hour taking photographs around the garden. Everything seemed normal. The pictures looked amazing on the camera screen. But when he returned home and opened the files on his computer, Emily wasn't in a single photograph. Every background remained exactly the same. The flowers were there. The benches were there. The trees were there. But wherever Emily had been standing, there was only empty space. Daniel thought his camera was broken. He checked every setting. He tested it on himself. It worked perfectly. Only Emily disappeared. Confused, Daniel knocked on her apartment door the next morning. Nobody answered. A neighbor walked past and asked, "Looking for Emily?" "Yes." The neighbor frowned. "That's strange. I haven't seen anyone leave that apartment for days." Daniel looked toward the door again. Everything was silent. Too silent. That night, curiosity became stronger than fear. Daniel searched the town library for old newspapers about the apartment building. After several hours, he found something unusual. A newspaper from 1984. The headline read, "Young Woman Dies Saving Child During Apartment Fire." There was a black and white photograph. Daniel froze. The young woman in the picture looked exactly like Emily. The same face, the same eyes, the same gentle smile. According to the article, she had sacrificed her own life while helping a little girl escape the burning building. Her body was never found. Many people believed she had disappeared in the fire. Daniel's hands started shaking. He looked at the date again. More than 40 years had passed. That was impossible. The next evening, Daniel waited on the rooftop. As the sun slowly disappeared behind the mountains, Emily arrived carrying her usual book. She smiled. "You've been looking for answers." Daniel nodded carefully. "Who are you?" Emily looked toward the sunset. For several seconds, she said nothing. Finally, she whispered, "Sometimes people leave the world, but not every promise leaves with them." Daniel didn't understand. Emily continued, "I promised someone I would always watch over this place. I couldn't break that promise." A cold wind crossed the rooftop. Daniel suddenly noticed something terrifying. The rooftop had dozens of glass windows surrounding it. Every window reflected the evening sky. Every chair, every flower, every cloud. But not Emily. She stood beside him without a reflection, without a shadow. As darkness covered the town, Emily slowly walked toward the staircase. Before disappearing, she turned back one last time. "If one day you stop seeing me, it means my promise is finally complete." Then she was gone. The following morning, the apartment building felt different, warmer, brighter. Daniel walked past Emily's apartment. The door stood open. Inside, there was nothing. No furniture, no books, no clothes. Only a thin layer of dust, as if nobody had lived there for decades. The neighbors were confused. Some couldn't even remember Emily's face anymore. Others insisted no woman had ever lived there. only Daniel remembered. Years later, the old apartment building was demolished. A beautiful park was built in its place. Children laughed there every day. Families enjoyed peaceful evenings together. And strangely, no accidents ever happened there again. Sometimes, promises are stronger than life itself. And perhaps some souls stay behind, not because they cannot leave, but because they choose to protect those they once loved. The end.